Welcome to Mythbechattin. I am Dan Barber, vocalist for Mythbegotten.
I'm Connor Hoffman, guitarist for Mythbegotten.
I am Joe Sobchak, bassist for Iron Maiden.
That's not true.
And we are here to discuss our song "The Fall," track 4, off of track 5 off of our album "Tales from the Unseelie Court." To kick things off, we'll just kind of go into how this one came to be, which means I'm segueing into more of me talking.
This is the Dan song.
It's true. This is the Danest of the Dan songs. So this one came to be from when I was in college back in the day. A Milton class I was in ended up having an option to do something creative for one of the assignments, and I decided to write a song inspired by Paradise Lost, specifically in this case, Book 4, which is essentially dealing with Lucifer at that point has descended from heaven and is sort of on top of this mountain, and just kind of looking over creation and being like, I fucked up. And has his kind of moment of clarity of like, why did I do this? I could have just like been chill, and like I had it so good, and now I've like screwed everything up, but I've essentially descended so far that I just have to accept that this is what I am now and become the adversary. Which, in reading Paradise Lost, that was, I think, probably my favorite moment. I thought just sort of that section was really compelling and emotionally resonant, and just this sense of sort of really profound regret and sort of the desire for reconciliation, but the acknowledgement that that reconciliation is impossible, and the only thing left to do is accept the road in front of you. And I thought that was really interesting and, compelling and stuff, so I wanted to write kind of a ballad based on it. And I knew I wanted to really heavily incorporate a tritone motif, so in the original version, that little acoustic intro you hear at the beginning and the end, that was kind of the first idea that came to me for it. And then just kind of went from there and wrote the verses and chorus and the bridge part. Essentially, the verses and chorus are fairly just melancholy and melodic, and then the bridge, even in the acoustic version, is supposed to be this kind of renewed intensity. A version of the tritone motif comes back in and is really musically supposed to represent like that embrace of like, I'm Lucifer now. This is who I am. This is who I'm going to be henceforth. There's no turning back. Farewell hope, farewell fear, as he says in the text. That's the one quote I directly lifted. And yeah, represent that kind of moment of change and acceptance. It's also kind of a breakup song, like between God and Lucifer. Like, there is an extent to which it is like Lucifer is sort of lamenting the end of this extremely toxic relationship with God. So you could kind of treat it as that. But I think it ended up being really emotionally resonant, and I'm proud with how that version came out, and I remembered showing it to Connor. And the way I remember it, at the very least, I had showed that to you at one point, and then I was coming over to your house to hang out one time, and you were just like, hey, I did a thing. and fully formed, like Athena from Zeus's noggin, was this fucking epic power ballad version of the song.
You're
And I was like,
mixing your
what?
mythological metaphors a little bit, but
I am. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. And obviously it developed from there, but I would say that is what then became the real seed of the Mythbegotten version.
that's funny. I didn't remember that I drafted it out before I showed it to you. Because you sent me that, and I was like, this is a metal song. You're just playing it on acoustic guitar.
Mhm.
Like it should be a metal song. I mean, even through to the end version, I don't think I changed any of the chords at any point.
No?
Like it's a little bit funny that this is maybe one of my favorite songs on the album, given that it's the one that involved the least input from me.
Sort of. The initial arrangement, though, was all you, and I think the arrangement really changes how it hits. Like, I think it's a good song, acoustic. I think it is a great song as you arranged it and Joe orchestrated it.
I mean, yeah, I think we definitely did some cool things with it.
Yeah, like the sort of the loud, quiet, loud of it all, and then also the way that the approach to the bridge section really enhances the like hell vibes. Yeah, I think really sort of accentuated the underlying features.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the energy of that section definitely changed the most, because I could kind of feel that there was a latent black metalness lurking beneath the surface of your version of it. That is the I don't know how much it's actually like come out through these conversations so far, but like Dan is actually the black metal one of the group, and is the one who sort of like initially, I think, brought that kind of influence to probably both of the rest of us, to some extent. So I think that was, I suspect I was not wrong in hearing that intent there, and just kind of
100%
ran with that in terms of like, this should be kind of like tremolo arpeggios and blast beats.
Yeah, and I think that was a great shift. There's lots of just little moments in this one that I think end up piling on top of each other to make it better and better. The Joe, the violin part you wrote for Andy that comes in it's in verse 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Generally, I think the orchestration in verse 1 is killer. Like, I love the little the tense flute duet that fades in right before the verse. I love the way that you have the call and response between the solo violin and then the solo cello with the string section, with the one kind of like fading into the other almost.
Yeah, so
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Dan.
No, you go first.
All right. So yeah, with the sort of dueling flutes to sort of lay out that motif that like the various orchestration elements are going to be playing with for most of the verses throughout the rest of the song, really. I sort of took a classic lesson from like film scoring, and it was just like, if you need a melancholy sounding wind instrument, a duduk is a great option for you, because it has that really sort of like forlorn tone to it additionally, but then it also has a lot of like very naturalistic ability to like I mean, to use the keyboardist term, like do pitch bend basically, just but on its own, like as part of how the instrument is performed, and then having two of them sort of like just like barely like splitting off from each other, going in different directions, and then the call and response thing, sort of starting with like, we're going to start it up high in the violin, and then it is going to fall to the cello. And then,
Also, Joe, you need to give a lesson to other Western composers on how to use the duduk in a not Orientalist way.
Well, so
like you can use duduk not to be like, here's a Balkan instrument to show that we're in Persia.
Yeah.
I mean, the trick is, I think, to just write Western music with it, which is probably not the correct lesson to take, but...
I mean, the Balkans are border.
But, I mean, also there's sort of like a piano-esque instrument that comes in I guess you'd call it verse 2, like right before the, or at least it sounds like a piano. It's actually a santur, which is I'm fairly certain, a plucked string instrument. I'm not going to try and guess where it's from because I'm going to get it wrong and piss myself off, and
santur
more deservedly many other people.
All right.
What was that?
Santur is Persian hammer dulcimer.
Okay, cool.
Oh, it's
so I was completely wrong about what it is, but that's fine.
You only wrote the part.
Pluck it if you wanted to.
Yeah. What I did was I dug through my sample libraries and sounded like, yup, that's the sound that I was looking for. But yeah, sort of doing that as a more interesting sounding piano, like. Because a big problem that I always get into is that, like, when I'm putting piano in a track, I'm always like, man, this sounds too, like, melodramatic, and, like, it sounds like I'm trying to be Turi Sauce, like, because especially on Stand Up and Fight, they have a lot of piano doing big operatic or musical, depending on how you feel about that album, sort of things going on. But
if I'm remembering correctly, is this actually the only song on the album that does have piano on it?
OR does as well, or Of Wrath and Ruin does as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I do also really like the second chorus in particular. Some of the keyboard work has this really nice and really fitting kind of like Unya era Sonata Arctica quality to it that I feel like really hits the like melancholy vibe of it all.
Yeah, so
I also love. Oh, I was just gonna say Connor has on the line "Iron Chains" this fucking awesome, just like froggy growl that sounds so good and just really accentuates that moment.
Thank you.
Also, apologize. There may be a kitten meowing behind the door.
This is the internet, Dan. No need for apologies for such things.
In fact, you need to apologize to us for not getting us those cat clicks.
That's true. You better open that door. Let the cat in, Dan. Let the cat into your heart.
Yeah, and so then the first chorus was really just like kind of just bringing strings and then an oboe into it as well, just to give that night, because oboes also have like a high capacity for melancholy, but they cut a little bit more, and especially through a string section, which I've like added in at that point as well, so it felt a little more appropriate to put that in there. Then for the second verse is when I started taking a little bit more of like a moon sorrowy approach to the arrangement, by which I mostly mean using an accordion as like a pad sound, basically.
That is a thing Moonsaro does.
They do it a lot. I love it every time. Like I just love like the texture of an accordion. Like when you really just sort of get to chew on it a little bit with like some choirs behind it.
This is why we don't let Joe around accordions anymore.
It's true.
Always just chewing on them.
Yeah, like using accordion, using sort of like a harp to get just like a very slow sort of arpeggio going. And then swapping out the duduks for, once again, Corinne doing the operatic, the same line that the two duduks had been doing before, but just doing it as like a really just vibrato dialed up to 1,000, and sort of like drifting in and out, sort of trying to do like almost like an angelic kind of, but angelic, but a little sad, or like a little creepier about it,
which is very fitting for the sad, creepy angel song.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really happy with how that turned out. Yeah. But yeah, no, the arrangement on it, like it was sort of an accident, I think, how happy I was with like accordion and choirs, and then the I have like a synthesizer bell sound kind of mirroring the bass line at that point as well, that I think adds sort of a like gothic feel to it as well. And I didn't think it was going to come together that well, because as usual, I thought I was overscoring it and then I was going to be pairing stuff out, and then I kind of heard it all together and I'm like, actually no, I think this all stays. So
yep,
yeah, definitely happy with how that
keep it in.
Arrangement came out.
That's the Mythbegotten way.
Yeah,
I think we're getting better about that, but yeah.
But sometimes
you haven't seen my tabs. You haven't seen my scores for the EP yet.
Oh dear.
Oh, I can't wait to.
Connor, one viola section truly cannot capture what we need. Multiple viola sections.
Said no one ever.
I will also mention from a layers standpoint, this song does also feature one of my favorite things to do in sort of harsh vocal arrangement, which is what I refer to as like the choir of demons, where I think during the bridge we slowly increase the amount of layers of, we have like me doing low harsh, Connor doing low harsh, and me doing like high black metal harsh, and I think potentially also a mid harsh.
Possibly, yeah. I think,
and it just kind of builds into this cacophonous demonic wall behind the lead vocal.
Yeah, if I'm recalling correctly, I think it's most of that section is you doing a paired high and low. There might also be a middle voice there too, and then I think, was it both of us, Joe, or was it just me that came in just on the adversary I will be?
I think you're right. I think it was Joe too.
So like usually in these sections, I will at least record a part, and whether or not we leave it in is a decision for the mixing stage. But yeah, I usually will try and at least throw my hat in the ring and see if it comes out usable or not. Because like I am very not practiced at growls, so it semi-frequently is just like, all right, we're just gonna take that slider and just bring it right down to negative infinity there. But
I think it worked out, and for that moment in particular, it's just because it is him accepting his status as like, I'm gonna be the Lord of Hell now, basically. Felt very thematically appropriate.
Yeah, and dramatically, it's such a great moment in the song, because that is the sort of like the high point of drama, as you know, we're reaching the climax of all of the harsh vocals in. We've been on this very tense, like kind of unresolved feeling ostinato for a lot of the bridge, with like a lot of the sort of upper instruments just doing this slow, like half step pedal back and forth that feels like it really wants to go somewhere. And like the drums opening up at the end into like I think it's like a triplet 16th blast or something that is just like, you know, very much kind of complicating the time there. And then to have that all just crash into silence right before the final chorus is so, like, that's one of my favorite moments on the album, is just the quiet and then just the sort of like desperate intake of breath into the last chorus is
by the way,
stellar moment.
That intake of breath is 100% my most karaoke'd moment on this album. I will stop what I'm doing and go. I will stop what I'm doing and go. My cursed ambition like a fire. Every single time. Aww. I won't sing the rest of the song, but
I love, and Connor, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I wanted to cut it originally.
I think you said that, and I told you that
I was
stupid.
So fucking wrong. And yeah, it adds a real moment of like catharsis, I think.
Yeah.
It's like that, because there is that's this sort of moment of like rage and sadness and pride and everything conflicting, and it's just that exhalation or inhalation ends up kind of being that moment of like resolution and forward motion from there.
It feels like to me, it feels like a kind of steeling himself to go forward, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
or even almost like you've been sobbing out this bridge and then you're like composing yourself and like getting it back together for that like final statement of the chorus.
Yeah. Which is kind of the effect, because also like mix wise, you know, at that point I think the song is coming very close to like going off the rails in terms of how much sound we could fit into it there.
Yeah, and I think that it ends up being very thematically appropriate the way that works out. I do also have to mention the dual keyboard, synth, and guitar soloing in this one is just so good. It's good for my brain. I just love that style of mixed solo, and y'all pulled it off so well.
It came off really well, and it's funny that it initially came out because I didn't feel like writing an entire guitar solo. I had half of a guitar solo figured out, and then was just like, I can't figure out how to like move the drama forward for another 8 bars. Joe.
The muse works in mysterious ways.
Well, and so that it was a really fun keyboard solo to record too, because at the time I was recording it on just a little 37 key keyboard. So, and which is like 3 octaves, I think. Yeah, should be 3 octaves.
Yeah.
But like because of the key that it was in, like that solo does not fit on that keyboard. So like I was getting very like most of my practice time was like keeping my left hand on like the octave switch button and like figuring out like, okay, well the line is going up here and I know that I'm going to be hearing the line continue to go up, but like my hand needs to drop an octave because I need to switch the octave button. Like it was. And then like at the very end of the keyboard solo when it's just this huge fall down, it's like I have a video of it somewhere that I might try and send out so that we can.
Did we ever put that somewhere? Because I remember seeing you do that.
And it literally is like the last.
Like, damn, that looks like a pain to play.
The really nice thing about that fall is that, like, since I am already abusing the octave key switch, I can kind of just keep my hands in the same place for the octave, and I just need to be precise about when I'm switching the octave. really like using the octave key. I might just keep doing that in the future, but it's like a little bit cheating, but
it's like, I feel like that's like using a whammy pedal for stuff too. You know, it's an effect that we are afforded by living in our
technology.
Current nightmare age of digital technology.
Indeed.
You know, the muse giveth and the muse taketh.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, any closing thoughts on The Fall?
Man, we really just kind of crashed through that conversation, did we? With very little structure.
I think that it is. I think it's probably my third favorite on the album. And from a point of arrangement, I think it is probably at least my best work on the album. I just like it was one of those tracks that, like, when it was all said and done, I was just like, oh shit, this rips. Like, this is really good.
Yeah, this felt like
pat myself on the back while we record this. I mean,
is that not what this mostly is?
True. Yeah.
This one, I agree. I think this felt like a turning point. And for like us in our process. And I think in some ways because like in some ways this is like our most kind of single-y song on the album. It's just it almost sounds like a single from a different band because it's by and large not as much like very much of the rest of the album.
Right.
I mean, because of that, I felt like it was a lot, like it was very exciting to arrange because we ended up making a lot of decisions that were pretty different from what we did on the rest of the album.
Mm-hmm.
And then just in terms of where it came in our workflow, like this was, you know, around the same time we were working on Omen when I was starting to feel like, you know, like the mix was really starting to click. And like this one was a tricky one because the palette was so dark. Actually, that's a great, like, I think in terms of the creative work on the mix, probably one of the things I spent the most time on this song was getting both the dramatic drop into the first chorus and then into the second verse, adding more energy at that point. Because both of those are big. When the first chorus hits, it's like a swell in a way with like the kind of, I think there's bass piano and the string section and a bass synthesizer all coming out there. And I think like in a lot of ways,
the bass guitar doesn't come in until the turnaround into the second verse.
Exactly. Yes. The guitar there that's the big, then. So in a lot of ways, the chorus is kind of the more, and I think one of the things that I was thinking there as I was trying to get that sound right is, the way the chorus hits in, the first time the chorus comes in Canary Yellow by Haken, which is like a very, that's like, I think of it as their like Porcupine Tree song on their 2020 album. It's very stripped down and like prog rocky. And when the chorus comes in, it hits you with this feeling that's not like a collision and more like a wave, like just this tide of bass comes out of the speakers at you. But then to have that balanced in such a way that when the second verse hits, the bass guitar entering on that low E was a moment that I think Joe and I spent a lot of time on trying to get that dialed in for like the perfect, and like get it, the timing there was such a huge pain because like that like little micro shifts in like the drum hit and where exactly the transient is on the bass, and like I kept working on it and going like, this sounds off. It needs to be like just a few samples earlier or a few samples later. And I think ultimately it came out really cool. But like that was, it's a bit of a tricky song mix wise there, where it like, it continues ratcheting up tension with the first chorus, and then the drums and bass in the second chorus, and then the electric guitars and the bigger drum kit in on the second chorus, until you get the sort of pull back into the bridge that is the first moment you get to kind of subtract a bit.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a cool sound. I don't know.
I also gotta say that arrangement wise, like this was, I think, the first one that we really worked on where Connor, I think you kept telling me like, no, use a synth, like use more synth patches in the arrangement. Because normally that was not at all how I was thinking about doing the arrangement. I mean, the first ones that we did, like in Heedless and in Lothian and Exum, it's mostly
basically
all just
no synths in those.
Yeah. In fact, the only synth in Lothian, I think, is the one that you put in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the synth, like that very first opening low synth pad in The Fall is you as well. And then I was just like, all right, well, I'm the keyboardist. I can't keep having the guitarist put all the fucking key, like, synthesizer patches in.
What a good idea it ended up being.
And so I started looking at it a lot closer and thinking of how to incorporate synthesizers into the arrangement. And I mean, without that push from you, Multi-Nose ends up a very different song because
OR ends up a very different song.
That's true.
OR ends up a very different song. Yeah, like a lot of whatever happens on the EP and the next album presumably end up very different songs.
Yeah. Oh wait, are we still doing synths?
Synths are so over. No, they're not.
Actually, synths might be over for the EP, but
I joke because I have no idea what you're doing for arrangements but
there is one song at the very least where I demand the synths. But listener, you will find out about this another time.
Have we even said EP before in a thing that?
Oh, yeah, we're putting out an EP next year. You'll find out about it.
You'll find out about it right after we do, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, on the whole, it felt like a really good, culmination of everything we had been working on up to that point, and I think also an interesting predictor of like some future stuff, and just one of those tracks where it's better than the sum of its parts, but the parts are also very good, which is always really cool. Now, this being the last Mythbechattin of the year.
Oh wait, before you segue to that, also the guitar solo was me trying to pretend I was Angel Vivaldi. Go on.
The keyboard was me trying to pretend that I was Jens Johansson, so...
We're all trying to pretend we're people who are better at our instruments than we are.
But yes, this being the last Mythbechattin of 2025, do we want to chat about some of our favorite albums, things we have listened to this year?
Yeah.
Listener, so we got sidetracked for way longer than is respectful for us to expect you to listen. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut out our entire end of your music conversation and digression into what metal bands are and aren't good anymore, and post it as its own separate episode at some point in the future.
That sounds like a wise decision that Joe discussed with us ahead of time.
Yes, it does.
You don't love me spontaneously volunteering you to do more video editing?
I mean, it lets me spread it out across more time, so.
Exactly.
But
you're welcome for that.
Listeners, we thank you for joining us again and watching Mythbechattin in 2025. We will be continuing on with these episodes in the new year. And you should expect some interesting news from us in the coming months. Yeah, that's all I'll say for now, because timelines are the enemy. But
Dan is getting a face tattoo.
I am.
Honestly, the timeline worked out pretty well
Snake.
for us on Tales, but
Yeah, you're not wrong. All right. Just to be a little spicy.
but-
keep your ears open about April, maybe,
oh, okay, fine. Jerk.
and then maybe for something else later. We have been Mythbegotten. I have been Dan.
Excessively have been Connor here.
You know who I am.
And
Good
if not, good night.
not,
Are
you're
we
all the
going
better
to are we gonna stop recording before or after I bore you guys a lot by talking about how good Silent Hill F is?